Guys, what's up? I hope you all are good and studying regularly. So today we are going to study our solo model was finished. So we will now come on to our next theory, which is endogenous growth theory, also known as AK model, and this is also known as beyond the solo model. Okay, and in the bracket you can write it as endogenous growth theory / AK model. These all three are one and the same thing. Okay, so what happened in this is it says that the factor determining economic growth are endogenously determined, rather not exogenously given. In the solo model, the factors that were determining economic growth were exogenously already given to us, but in this model it will be showing us that where do that factor come from and how are they determined. Okay, so as you know that according to the solo model, long run economic growth is sustained by exogenously determined technological progress, right? We studied in the previous class itself. In addition, solo model is based on the assumption of diminishing return to capital. Therefore, it is argued that growth will eventually stop after attaining its steady state. And I already told you that there will be only level effect. There won't be any growth effect. Okay. So earlier in the solo model, we assume that that your that there is a diminishing return to capital, and according to that you have your production function y is equal to fk. Okay, function of k, capital. Okay. But now in the endogenous growth model, what he has done, first of all, the first change he did was the change in production function. Now your production function is y is equal to ak. Okay, this is your production function. This is the first part of endogenous growth theory. So this is your production function, where a is a constant measuring amount of output produced for each unit of capital. We must note that the production function does not represent the diminishing return to scale. Okay, this was the first distinction was what, that in this model, beyond the solo model, the factor determining economic growth are endogenously determined. Okay, but in the solo model it was exogenously already given. Okay, it was already given. And the second distinction is the production function. Here production function is y is equal to ak, and it does not represent the diminishing return to capital, but in the solo model it they took the assumption of diminishing return to capital. Okay, if you remember also, the production function was like this. So there was diminishing return to capital in solo model, but in this model it is not a diminishing return to capital. Okay, so I told you the two distinction. Okay, so now let's see what are the similarity also. Okay, so both model argues that capital accumulation will cause economic growth. Okay, these are the similarity, that both the models argue that the capital accumulation will cause economic growth, and change in capital is the difference between investment and depreciation. So if I want to write the change in capital in this beyond this endogenous growth theory, it will be delta k is equal to investment minus depreciation. It is same as before also. Now what can I write of investment? It is small s into capital Y, that your saving rate into your total income, because we always assume that your whole saving is gone into investment. Okay, that your income is distributed between consumption and investment only. There is no saving in the economy, so whatever you are saving, you are just investing. And the depreciation rate is delta same and capital K. Okay, but earlier what we used to write in here, we write it as function of capital, but here it is also a function of capital, but your aggregate production function is now this, y is equal to ak. Earlier it was different, and earlier the function which we are having was representing diminishing return to scale, but here it is not representing diminishing return to scale. Okay. And also one more distinction was there, that in the solo model it was determining only level effect, but in this you can have growth effect, and I am going to tell you in some few minutes only how does it represent growth effect. So I am just substituting this value here, s into ak minus delta k, right? Now what you can do, you can take k common. Okay, so I am taking k common and keeping it here. What will be here now? SA minus delta. So as long, now if you want to see that there is a continuous growth, then how there can be a continuous growth? As long as your SA is greater than delta, there will be continuous growth of output without the assumption of exogenously determined technological progress. Therefore, you can see that a simple change in the production function has changed the prediction about economic growth. And as you already studied that in solo model, saving lead to growth, but it was only temporary, and diminishing return to capital eventually forces the economy to reach back to its steady state. But in contrast, in the endogenous growth model which we are studying now, saving and investment can lead to continuous growth. As you can see, as long as this is greater than this will be positive, and it means that there will be continuous growth. So there can be growth effect, not level effect. Okay. So now we will see that how it is possible, like how it can lead to continuous growth, and what are the things that are endogenously determined. Earlier we were given the capital, but now in this model it is happening this because now capital is broadly divided between two things. What are the two things? Physical capital, and second one is which capital? Human capital. Okay. So it is natural to assume that in the physical capital, where we are already studying that we will have the diminishing returns, because as you use the machinery it gets old and old, and it's in the starting it gives more return, and eventually gradually it starts reducing. So it is natural to assume that it will give diminishing return to capital. Okay, but human capital is measured in terms of knowledge. Okay, and it has shown the increasing returns. Okay, so therefore returns to capital may remain constant if these two are same. So basically the continuous growth has been explained by the two factors in this model. First factor is what? Which is manufacturing sector, and second factor is what? Second factor is human, and which we are considering here from the research universities, that how much of the capital is going to research sector. Okay, and they produce goods which is known as knowledge. Okay, and this knowledge is used in both the factor. Since how it can be used in both the factor? First, you can teach, you acquire the knowledge, you can teach, as I am doing to do. And the second, what I can do, like I know how the machinery operates, so I can also use this in physical capital also, that I can operate the machine also, or I can tell you how I can teach you how to operate the machine. Okay, so this knowledge is used in both the sectors. Okay, so if I want to divide the labor, it will be divided into two parts. First is U is the proportion of labor that is going to research. Okay, scholar or human capital, scholar. Okay, and 1 minus u is the one who is going in manufacturing sector. Okay, so now economy is described by the following production function and capital accumulation function equation, which I am going to write down just here. Earlier what was it? Y into L, K into L into A, but now it will be 1 minus u into L into A, because this was of the production function which we are using in the factory and all. So now labor, this will be the proportion of whole labor which are going to the manufacturing sector. Okay, and second equation was what? Second equation was delta K is equal to Sy minus delta O del K. Okay, and the third function which I will be writing here is the growth function, that shows how growth in knowledge depends on the fraction of labor force in the universities. So I am taking E, and in the book also it is taken E. E is the stock of knowledge here. So how your stock of knowledge change? It will be delta E upon E. Okay, and it is the function of growth function of the proportion of labor going to research or the universities. Okay, so this is function of U. So this was of manufacturing sector, labor going to manufacturing, but this is of university, like scholars, okay, who are going into research and teaching and all. Okay, so this is the part of human capital, this is a part of physical capital. So now if I want to conclude everything, according to this model, knowledge produced by research university is an important factor that determine the output growth by firm. Okay, as you can see also here, this is because it influences the efficiency of worker, but unlike in solo model, it doesn't accept the efficiency accept that efficiency is increasing at the constant rate determined exogenously. Rather, it argues that technological progress is determined by fraction of labor force going into universities, and by that way it is called endogenous. Okay, see, in solo model it was assuming that it was constant determined exogenously, it was already given, but in this factor we have divided our capital into two parts, physical and human. That is why we are saying that technological progress is determined by the fraction of labor going to universities. Okay, and by that way it is called endogenous. Okay, so thank you guys for watching. This was all for the today's video. I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.